It doesn't even have to be actual rejection. It's the perceived rejection that is so powerful, right? Like I'm assuming that you're mad at me, but that might not actually be the case. Like you probably forgot that I did that. You're good, but I'm in my head, I've perceived this person's going to be irritated with me. They're going to get I'm avoiding confrontation at all costs.
Welcome back to another episode of ADHD Rewired. Today's guest is Trina Haynes from My Lady ADHD. Hey, Trina.
Hi.
We've been talking for half an hour. Oh yeah, we're supposed to do a podcast. Let me just give you a little intro here. All right, so Trina is the founder of My Lady ADHD, which empowers and supports individuals facing ADHD challenges. She created a safe space and vibrant community for women, drawing from her own personal ADHD journey. As I mentioned, she's the host of the My Lady ADHD Podcast and is the co-founder of Get Lost Retreats, featuring regular ADHD women's retreats around the globe. Trina, welcome to the podcast.
That was such a nice intro. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, whoever wrote it did a great job.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, technically it's not your first time on because you did join us for a Q&A a couple months ago.
I did, yes. And then you were on my podcast at the beginning of the year, which was amazing. Thank you for that.
Oh, well, of course. And it's always lovely getting to reconnect with old friends here. So
it is. We should do this more often. I really enjoy chatting with you.
Oh, thanks. All right, Love Fest over. Let's have a conversation.
All right.
So
fair enough.
Let's talk about friendships.
Why did I get full body chills when you said that? I had a visceral reaction when you said that.
Yeah.
Because we were talking briefly about this before we jumped on and just how difficult they are for people with ADHD. And I can feel it all over my body. I have really struggled in this area. And I know a lot of people struggle here.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's something that I'm honestly my entire life I've struggled with. Not even just the making of friends. I think I do okay with the making of friends. The maintaining of friends.
Keeping.
Especially when it requires extra effort to maintain those relationships. And I always wish that I could just get some credit for the number of times I think about my friends. But there's no way that anyone's going to know I'm thinking about them if I don't actually communicate that in some way.
So hard. Yeah. I mean, one thing just to add to that is now whenever I have that thought that if I'm thinking of a friend, I will send them a weird selfie. And that's it.
I've been doing stuff sort of similar to that. I've been doing the either a Bitmoji or a fun GIF.
Maybe this is why I don't have friends. They might not like getting a random crazy emoji or selfie from me. I don't know.
Trina, you are welcome to send me the randomest with no explanation emoji or selfie.
Done.
Yep. I'm
done.
She's thinking about me. And I don't know why she sent me this picture of flies buzzing around this pile of shit. But
no. No, but friendships, man, I consider myself to be an extreme extrovert. I have no problem making friends, like you said. But once they get to a certain level where they require a little bit more nurturing, following up on texts, following up on phone calls, remembering birthdays, remembering to send a birthday gift or all of that is I cannot remember to do those things. I have to set reminders to do those basic, I'm doing air quotes, basic things to maintain a friendship are I have to do extra work than I think a neurotypical person has to do. And that's been really frustrating to witness throughout my life of these people that can just flourish in friendships. And I know that they're having to do work too, right? They're having to maintain this. But I feel for someone with ADHD, it's just that much harder to keep up with. And I've seen friends that I grew up with have all these bridesmaids at their wedding and these giant baby showers. And it's those experiences are things that we kind of miss out on because we're just not super great at keeping up with friendships, man.
And Trina, I don't know if this is part of how you experience things. If there's a friend that like it's been a bit too long since I've connected with, then the challenge is, okay, like when am I going to have the time to actually connect with them? Because I feel like we're going to be on the phone for like 3 hours, and I don't know when I ever have 3 hours for a phone call.
So that is a huge part of, I think, sometimes why I avoid conversations with friends, even though I know it's going to be like the best thing ever. I know that it requires a lot of my undivided attention, right? Like I need a solid hour with this person on the phone, and trying to pull a solid hour out of my schedule where I'm not wandering around my house or doing all my ADHD stuff is really hard to like schedule that. And then you add in like their schedule, kids, sickness, all of this stuff that goes on. It is just a scheduling nightmare. I think that's partly what it is. It's the scheduling problem.
And like you watch these like TV shows and like people have these like quick, like 2-3 minute conversations on the phone. Like, do people actually do that? Like, is that?
And then they hang up without saying bye, and that always irritates me.
One of the things my ex used to always say, like when we used to watch the show, was it Parenthood? And she was like, "Wait, why is it that they go to like each other's places just to have a quick conversation?" It's like that's so impractical. I'm like, oh, it makes for better TV, I guess. I don't know. Do people do that? Like, I miss college for that reason because it was just easy to like go down the hall and like go see your friends. Like it just required like a lot less planning.
Yeah, it's the plan. I mean, it probably comes down to a lot of just the planning and executive functioning that goes into maintaining anything for a long period of time. Like even me taking care of my plants is that's a time commitment that I've made, and it's very regiment. You have to do it all the time. And it's those things that seem to be difficult for me as someone with ADHD, is just the things that are like, you just have to maintain them. And I can barely like remember to shower, like sometimes that is a struggle. And like anytime I've been in a like friendship with someone and it's me who tends to drop the ball, right? Like it's me that forgot to call them. And then it spirals, right? Because then you're like, they're going to be mad at me because I didn't call them for their birthday. So you just end up avoiding that conversation longer. I think some RSD plays into it. And I know I bounced around a little bit there, but I have ADHD. But yeah, I think sometimes RSD plays into like why we don't call people back sometimes. Is that relatable?
Yeah, I mean it's so funny because like when I first heard the whole like RSD thing, and I think that the whole like, I mean, this is a sort of a separate issue, and I've heard some other people talk about this with the idea of RSD. Like RSD is not a really like research based thing. I think the idea of rejection sensitivity, like okay, let's just describe it for just as a descriptor, right? Like versus this like clinically diagnosed thing, which like I mean maybe it's valid, but we actually need data and research to support validity. Yes, like so many people, I think they caught like wildfire this concept because so many people in the ADHD community connected to this idea, which to me says there's something there.
Right.
Great. Let's research it.
Yeah. And the part of it that I relate to is like, it doesn't even have to be actual rejection. It's the perceived rejection that is so powerful, right? Like I'm assuming that you're mad at me, but that might not actually be the case. Like you probably forgot that I did that. You're good, but I'm in my head, I've perceived this person's going to be irritated with me. They're going to get like, I'm avoiding confrontation at all costs. Right. So like, if I think that you're disappointed in me, angry with me, I'm probably not going to call you back for a while until I feel like the dust has settled. Right. So there's like that whole side of maintaining friendships, I think. And then there's like the scheduling that you're talking about. And it's just a lot, but it's also like so hard because we need it so bad. We need friendships. Like we need them. And it's just something that we really struggle to maintain. So it's just add that to the list of ADHD stuff that's really hard to deal with.
I feel like for me, one of the most important things is like giving sort of assuming the best of intentions with people. And it's something that I like always just hope that people are also giving me in return. Cause it's like when someone communicates with me that, you know, they thought, one thing when like that was absolutely not my intentions or that's not where like it's just kind of like it just breaks my heart.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you this. Do you notice that it's easier with another person who has ADHD
Oh yeah.
to maintain a friendship? Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Like I kind of find it hard to connect with neurotypical people.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's easy to connect, but the maintenance of that relationship and that friendship feels very much more difficult in my opinion.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of like you. I am surrounded by ADHDers and for my job, my friends and everyone around me kind of has ADHD. And it's been so much easier to like not only find the friend, but also the maintenance is a little bit easier because there's so much empathy and compassion and understanding on both sides. And so, like, if I forget to text you on your birthday, like, you're still my friend. Like, I don't have that fear that you're going to be mad at me for that. And so it's much easier to keep up with the friendship that way. And I love that, but I also like wish everyone was like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there goes the thought. It's gone.
Oh, goodbye.
Bye. It was nice while you're there. I wonder what it'll be when it grows up.
I'll see you at 2 a.m.
Totally. And I think it's like this kind of stuff too. It's just like when you can just take the mask off and just be our quirky, weird selves and just know that we are doing the best that we can do. And, it's our best is going to be different, depending on the moment. And yeah, it's, it is
So
hard when someone that you, and we were talking about this before we hit record, but when people that you care about, when those relationships kind of, fizzle out. And it's hard too when you don't get clear feedback on that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Because then you're just
so many friendships. I mean, I had friendships from childhood to college that like we just don't talk anymore. I think social media makes it a little bit easier and harder at the same time because you can stay connected to those people on Facebook or Instagram and see what's going on in their lives. So you kind of still feel connected, but you're not like really friends anymore. Like it's just so bizarre. Like I think social media plays into that a little bit too. And I don't know where I was going with that, but I've been struggling with friends since like birth. Like I can make friends like you said, but it's just I can't name 5 friends on my hand right now that like I could call in case of an emergency, like that are my ride or die friends. I don't know if I even have like 5. I could probably name 2. And I rely on my family. Like my family is my closest friends. And so they love me and understand me deeper than most people do. So I think that's why it works.
That's wonderful. Yeah, the friendship piece is just it's challenging. And then when the family piece, and I was actually thinking about this too, because I've seen when I used to have my clinical practice and worked with kids, and I would see some of the parents who would do a lot of like the social engineering like for their kids. And then I always wondered, I'm like, is this what like other parents do? Because that's not what happened when I was a kid, and maybe there is part of that disconnect. Like, is there that like that like unwritten rules of like the social piece that like there's actually more involvement from the parents than you maybe even knew or realized? I don't know.
I think making friends overall is just hard in this era, like post COVID, when everyone was on lockdown and didn't get within 6 feet of each other. Like no one has really come back together in a community, like where you're doing things actively together all the time. Like it's a different world that we live in from 3 or 4 years ago. So there's that piece on top of everything else. And then, yeah, phones, like I've had to do some maneuvering and like help my own kid make friends, right? Like I've had to do some behind the scenes work to make sure that like she has friends because one, she's homeschooled. Like that's hard. And two, it's like during COVID when people don't want to be near each other, like for a couple of years, people didn't want that. So it's a weird time to make friends anyways.
Yeah.
But people with ADHD have that other layer on top of it.
Yeah. So you had said that you're like an extreme extrovert. But you also said that like after your like because you mentioned your the retreat and you mentioned last year the CHAD conference that like you needed like a significant amount of recovery time afterwards.
I do. Does that make me an introvert?
Well, that's what I was kind of wondering. I'm like, because if you're an extreme extrovert, like you'd be like my understanding of introversion. Extroversion is one, fills you up. The other, and so if I were an extreme extrovert, because I am not, I am a very extrovert introvert. I am very introverted though. Like I really need my solitude and I need my, like we were talking before it record, like for me getting on my motorcycle is like therapy because I don't have to talk to anybody. Right. And it helps recharge. Like,
so I need that too. I definitely love my downtime and my quiet time. And like I meditate and do yoga and I spend a lot of time by myself. But like I can see a giant room of people and I'm like excited to go into that room. Like that's a little bit of the difference in my opinion is like I feel like, oh, there's going to be so many people here I can talk to and connect with. And like this is going to be so fun. And even I could do this until 4 a.m. Like I literally have no end. Like someone has to knock me out and put me in the bed and say, you're done here.
I mean, from the CHAD conferences that, I've been going to these conferences. I think this will be my 11th or 12th conference coming up. And one of my biggest challenges is just stopping for the day and going to bed. Because I'm like, I don't know the next time I'm going to see or talk to these people. And like, this feels great right now. And if this feels great now, why would I want to stop it?
Yeah, so that happened to me last year. I did not sleep the entire time we were there. And I think you've had Jesse Anderson on your podcast or will have had him on. He and I have like the same maybe circadian rhythm. And we stayed up like the entire night, pretty much every night till 2 or 3 in the morning. We'd be standing in the lobby looking at each other like, where'd everybody go? Everybody went to sleep and we're still up ready to like have fun. But I came home and died afterwards. Like I crashed so hard afterwards. But when there's people and it's fun and I'm in the moment, like I cannot stop. I cannot stop.
I think I need
FOMO.
I think the FOMO. It is the FOMO. It is totally the FOMO. And part of it is like the idea of transitioning and state shifting. Right. So if like you're in the groove and having fun conversation and like that requires a transition. And if it's at night, that's even harder because our EF is lower. And so that ability to stop, to transition, to do all the sequence of things that's required to getting ready for bed when you're even out of your environment makes it even harder. It's just like, it's amazing that anybody goes to sleep at these conferences.
I'm not convinced that they do. Like, I'm pretty sure when they leave the conference and they go to their hotel room, they're like wide awake until at least midnight, probably later. Like, I don't know how people could sleep from that much energy and excitement. Like, there's so much energy when you put ADHDers together. Like, it is another level of energy that some people love and some people it's overwhelming.
I think that in some city somewhere, we need to have the equivalent of like Boys Town, but for like neurodivergent people.
I like that.
I would move there.
Too, actually, especially if there was like a lot of trees around and it was like near water. Like, sign me up.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
You know what else we should do? We should take a quick break. We will be right back. Support for ADHD Rewired comes from our award-winning intensive coaching and accountability groups. Our winter season starts on January 11th of the new year in 2024. So if you want to kick off your new year by starting with you, get your name on our interest list at coachingrewired.com. That's coachingrewired.com to get your name added to our winter interest list. So you can join us for our next winter registration event on Thursday, December 7th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern. We get a lot of questions, for example, during our live Q&A about the next steps for ADHD management. Maybe you're utilizing ADHD medication, or you've read books or listened to the podcast to get some tips and tricks on how to declutter or plan for big projects or change careers or just follow through on your well-intended everyday plans. Or maybe you're already working with a mental health professional, but you still feel like something's missing. Well, that's where group coaching comes in. Because with ADHD, it's not necessarily about a skill deficit or not knowing what to do. It's about adding the game-changing ingredients of an empathetic, understanding, and supportive community to our existing knowledge and tools that can really help us move forward. Because we can do hard things, and we are not alone.
I decided to join this group because I had been looking at this for a while. I just couldn't manage with a 9-to-5 job. I just knew the power of, groups in general from my background, and it looked like a lot of the work had been done to get people together because I knew the power of accountability.
Before this group, I constantly crammed too much on my to-do list and felt like an imposter, like I was constantly in my own way. And I didn't have a group of ADHD folks that I felt supported by.
Before this group, I felt, like I said, I was pretty lost, and now I think I'm more on track.
And all the things I learned about the steps that it took to get there, every little individual, one small thing that led to me getting to work on time, the night before, getting to sleep, getting rest. I just have a new realization of everything that's involved, and it all kind of links together.
When I think of success, I now see the value of moving slowly. I see the peace I feel as success, even when not all things are done. I see the value of narrowing my focus to do less and do it better.
When I think of success, now I think of it as in terms of small wins. It's what success means for me, not what it means for the world.
Well, despite the beginning of the group and thinking I'm way worse than these people, I don't belong here. Once I started asking questions and sharing, I learned that many people were just as confused and struggling as I am. And as one person said, we have had a lifetime of learning to hide these issues, so to make it look easier.
I want to tell anyone who's considering joining this group, know that it will be intense. It will be challenging, it will be exciting, cathartic, and freeing. Know that it won't solve everything. Rather, you will feel more equipped to find solutions for just about everything. Know that it's a worthwhile investment of your time, attention, money, and effort. This coming from a high achiever who always acted like he could do it alone.
So if you're ready to make an investment in yourself, empowering the transformation from time blind to time wise, and aligning your calendar with your priorities while nurturing healthy boundaries, you're in the right place. But that's not all. If you're also eager to enhance your self-talk, cultivate the art of asking profound questions, and grant yourself the freedom to dream big and act on your most meaningful goals, then this is the community you've been looking for. Start your new year by starting with you, by getting started at coachingrewired.com. That's coachingrewired.com. Get your name added to our winter interest list so you can join us for our upcoming registration event on Thursday, December 7th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern. That's Thursday, December 7th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern. We can't wait to meet you, and we know the holiday times are here and going to get busy, so don't wait. Add it to your calendar. Go now to coachingrewired.com. The people who I like most are the weirdest people I know. I feel like
I love that. You know what? You're not the first person to tell me that.
Okay, so let me just do this. And we're back.
Sweet.
So we're back. And Trina, if you're not okay with me saying this, we'll delete it out. But I was just like admiring how much I appreciated you because you were making weird faces during the break on camera, and I just appreciated the weirdness, and it was just
I cannot help it. I have impulsivity a little bit.
Okay. What have been some of the hard things for you that you've learned from friendships that maybe have gone south?
Oh my goodness. Some things have their season. Some things, people are in your life for certain seasons. And maybe that's all they're meant to be there for. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it takes a really strong friendship to last an entire lifetime. That's really, really hard to do. Is to be friends with someone for many, many years is hard anyways, even if you don't have ADHD. So it's not always you. It's not always, oh, it's because I have ADHD. Oh, it's like I did something wrong. Sometimes you guys were in the right path for that window on purpose and it split, and that's how it was supposed to be. And maybe it'll come back later. It'll intersect, and you guys, I'm saying this because I've been in relationships, like friendships like that. And just learning to be okay with like different seasons of life and just, take care of yourself because you're the one that has to be your friend your entire life.
It's true. It's true.
So yeah, it's hard. It is though. I've lost some really, really close friends throughout the years, but looking back, it's like, I'm happy that they're happy. I'm over here being happy. Like, it's okay. Like, it's really hard to maintain a friendship for like years. And if you want to do that, you have to tell that person that that's your intention, and you have to like talk through these things. Like, it is my intention to be your friend. I struggle with these things. Please know that I still love you. Like, it's just being really clear about like, if the people that you want to be friends with, like, tell them that you want to be their friend. Because like, who is not going to want to hear that? First of all, if you're like, Trina, I really like you, I want to be your friend. Sweet. Like, I love that because it's really hard for me to like make friends. So if you feel comfortable telling someone that, that's amazing. That's a gift that you're giving them.
Yeah, we were in our in the pre-show conversation where we were like, should we just keep talking? Do we want to record a podcast today? Or like, yeah, I should probably record a podcast today.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was sharing with you was, because I've just been some friendships that were, they were kind of work friendships, but that kind of went south this year. And, so I've been doing a lot of sort of self-exploration, and, I've been in therapy, and, one of the pieces of feedback, and this is like, I'm going to be real vulnerable here. Am I going to say this on the podcast? I think I am. Okay. So I got some feedback that from some people that they felt like I was only reaching out to them when like I want something. And when I heard that feedback once, it's like, all right, well, maybe in this situation. When I heard it more than once, I was like, okay, maybe there is a pattern, and like that doesn't sit well with me. Like, that's not the person who I want to be, And when I share this with you, you're like, yeah, I get that too. And it just felt really validating hearing that that's something that, like you said, you also kind of struggle with it as well.
Yeah, because like I have ADHD, and like sometimes that out of sight, out of mind thing is legit. Like, my mind is so full of just like trying to shower and feed myself some days. Like, it's really hard just to function in the world having ADHD. And sometimes people or events or, friendships, relationships, they just get pushed off the back burner because I'm trying really hard just to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And so it takes a really strong friendship to get through some of that, to tolerate that, and I could see why not everybody will tolerate that.
Yeah.
So like, you reaching out when you need something, to me feels like a very ADHD thing to do, because that's when it came to your mind, is like, this person, but it's probably some external reminders have to be set so that you're reaching out otherwise.
And there's this whole idea of like, investing in relationships, and the idea of I think meaningful relationships have, this sort of synergistic reciprocity. And I've been working with my own therapist, and like, why does that always feel like work? And because the part of me, like, I don't want it to feel like work, but it's also, I know it's really important to do this in relationships.
Yeah, it kind of is work though, right? Like, it is. It is work, but it has a good reward at the end, for the most part. And if it doesn't have a good reward at the end, like maybe that's not a friendship you want to invest a lot of time in, right? Like if you're putting in all of this effort in and there's not a reward at the end for either one of you, then it might be time to like cut that cord anyways, you know? So it's just a weird balance, and like people are so different and everyone has their own things that they're working through. And all we need to maintain friendships is like compassion and empathy and understanding, and the communication isn't always there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just not. When you have ADHD, it's just really hard to regularly communicate with someone. Like I have in my phone, I'm supposed to call my niece every single Sunday. This is something that we started months ago in order to maintain our friendship and our relationship as family members. I'm calling her every Sunday to check in on her. I missed a week. I missed 2, and then I missed the next week, and won't call her because I'm afraid she's going to be mad at me. So it's like, that's the reality of having ADHD. Like I had to set a reminder in my phone to maintain this friendship and this relationship. I'm still going to mess up. I have to do some inner work that says, even if she's mad at me, I still have to call her back. I need to get through that because that's not cool.
Let me ask you this. Would it be helpful for you if we pause the recording for just a minute and you just sent your niece a text just to say that I'm thinking about you? And I know I missed a couple weeks.
Gosh, I will do that. Yes. Do you want me to do it right now?
Yeah. If you want to do it right now.
Yeah, I'll do it real quick. Mm-hmm. Should I send her a selfie like I said I do?
Maybe with some of the thoughts as well. Yeah. And, maybe while we're actually doing this, we'll truncate some of the gap with editing. But for our listeners, I am pretty sure there's someone in your life right now too that you've been thinking about. Maybe that's all.
I love that.
Let's all take the time right now and
everyone text that person that you're avoiding right now because you think they're going to be mad at you. Bust out your phone and send them a quick text that says, "Hey, I'm really sorry I haven't touched base. I love you. Let's catch up on Sunday." Right? I'm doing it.
I'm doing it too.
Done.
And done.
Do you want me to read you what I'm going to read it because it might help someone.
Sure.
I said, "Hi, I feel so bad I haven't called. I've been worried that you'd be upset with me, so that's why I haven't called. I know that doesn't make sense and I'm working through it. I love you and I really would like to catch up this week if you're up for it."
That's beautiful. I love it.
Boom. But that's tough to do because she could say, "Yeah, I am mad at you. Why haven't you called?" And then I'm going to feel like terrible.
So what if she does say that?
But it just requires a phone call. I just need to talk to her about it. It's simple, but it feels gigantic. And that's part of the thing with ADHD is sometimes things you work them up and they make them these big giant things. And maybe it's as simple as like "Hey, sorry, I haven't called. Like, let's go get dinner."
It's interesting too, because I've been, when I think about this, one through the lens of, when I used to do a lot of clinical work with autism, we talk a lot about like repair strategies. Like, and especially with my son, who's, now 12 and he's on the spectrum and has ADHD. And, he would have this sort of very black and white thinking about this stuff. Like if he has a conflict with another kid, he now thinks that they're enemies. It's like, no, it's like, it just requires a repair. And one of the things that I think sort of contributed to, since my marriage falling apart was we never fought. So there was never opportunities for repair, right? It was just all the conflict avoidance, like really on both sides. And I think that the things that I have found that have really strengthened relationships is not being afraid of having the hard conversations and repairing and doing the repair work.
It's so hard as a people pleaser. Like my people pleasing is showing right now because that's the main reason I'm like avoiding some of this is like people pleasing. Oh, it's so hard. But, I feel like it's something that you can work on. It's not like it's a lost cause and like ADHDers can't have friends. Like, I don't think that that's true. I think they just require more work than you may realize.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like most things, we underestimate how much effort and time goes into maintaining a relationship. And when you come to terms with that and actually like literally schedule things in your phone and schedule reminders and ask them to help you along the way, and just hope that you find some friends that are like forgiving.
Yeah.
So, and when in doubt, like find an ADHDer if you can to be friends with, because I think that we understand.
And I think that, I think you see this too, because I know a lot of the stuff that you do is all around community, and as what we do here as well. Because I think there's so many of us that we've been working so hard at sort of this masquerade of, let's pretend like we're normal, right? Like, and
that mask is so glued on.
And it's exhausting, and it weighs a ton.
So heavy. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is the reason that I host retreats. And I know we didn't talk too much about that, but it's the reason that I wanted to host an ADHD women's retreat, where I wanted to bring people together who really understood what it was like to have ADHD and how magical that is when you put people in a room together that just get it. It's something that is on the top of my mind all the time. Like, I'm always thinking of like, how do we put these people together in a room? Because it's so healing, and it's just unlike any other experience. I can't even explain it. It's making me laugh just thinking about, you know what it's like to be in a giant room full of ADHDers. Like, it is chaos, but it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful chaos. I definitely agree with that.
And I feel really lucky that I've gotten to be around so many people with ADHD. It's been really validating and healing for me. But there's obviously still stuff that I'm struggling with, and friendships is definitely up there on my list.
Me too, Trina. And it's, it's something that and I think I've mentioned this on a recent podcast, kind of throughout the whole pandemic, when I was kind of going through my divorce, and like my personal life was just a shit show, dumpster fire. And as someone who's very relational and is usually very open with just being vulnerable and sharing, like during that time, I was like, the dumpster fire was hot, and I closed off a bit, and I wasn't sharing as much of what I was going through, because I was in the middle of it, and I was in the thick of it. And as I've been, doing a lot of my own sort of healing work, and just doing that work, kind of getting, I'm trying to have more conversations here on the podcast where I don't have all the answers, right? I'm also exploring. I'm also figuring this out and have my own struggles. And it's, it's sometimes funny when I'm, in my coaching groups and have to like remind people, like, I don't have it all figured out. Yeah, I can teach the stuff all day long. Doesn't mean I'm doing the stuff.
Well, I mean, and I can't tell you how critical it is for another ADHDer to see that. We all need to see that, like, no one with ADHD is like living the magical unicorn fairy life of like, everything is easy for me and I get through life easily. Yeah. Like, no, not any one of us do. And it's really, really important to like be vulnerable and talk about what you are struggling with, because if you said you weren't struggling, I would be like, I would not believe you. I would think that you were lying. That's just not genuine, because I know that you are.
No, it was funny today during one of our, I run this weekly alumni session from our alumni from our coaching groups. And we did some stuff around like, as we get towards the end of the year, I have people really focus on like those important but not urgent goals, reminding them there's 10 weeks left in the year, like as of recording this. And so like each week we'll say, this is how many weeks are left in the year, to kind of just like contain that time frame. And so we were doing that. And then at the end of our sessions, I always ask our members if they have any announcements or any events they're hosting on our online platform. And one of our members goes, "Aren't you doing the Pomodoro dance party? Is that this week? Is that Friday?" And I'm like, let me check my calendar. And then one of the members goes, "Wait, so the thing that you were having us all do, and after all of that, you weren't sure what was happening on Friday?" I was like, he's like, "Thank you." I was like, "Yeah, And I was telling him
It's
too.
real.
Yeah. And it's like, and even just recently, I've been going back to having this reframe of like, go back to basics. Go back to basics.
Mhm.
Use the tools. I know the tools. I have the tools. Return to the tools.
So I'm in the middle of that right now because I'm kind of at the tail end of burnout where I'm having to like literally like, okay, what does it look like? What does my best sleep look like? Like, how do I get myself back to a sleep routine? Like food, sleep, and hygiene, like literally taking it back to like, okay, what do I want my routine to look like from now on? Like I'm having to restructure like how to take care of myself again because I just like went through this crazy thing where my calendar was really full and there was no time to take care of myself. And so like I'm having to literally go back to basics and it's required. It's like every few months.
I think so many of us, like, we want to hit that autopilot button. And the autopilot button has never, ever worked in our lives. Ever.
My autopilot, like I would be in China. Like I would just wander the earth.
I always say I would crash and burn if I, went on autopilot.
There really isn't autopilot. Everything has to be like thought through, like planned. And it's so hard because we just are not the greatest at planning.
And maybe that's part of why sometimes friendships are so hard is that we're using so much of our EF to manage our work responsibilities and, our families. And, by the time that's all said and done, it's like we barely have anything left. And then maybe that's why it feels like work.
Yeah, I find it easier to have like one or two very close friends versus like a massive group of friends. Like I'm never going to get married and have 20 bridesmaids up there with me. That's just not going to happen, but I'm going to have like one or two close friends that have stuck with me through my life.
Yeah.
And that's probably because that's all I can manage. Like,
yeah, strictly
because that is literally my max capacity.
I'm right there with you. Like when I see people who literally have, 15, 20, like my oldest sister is kind of like that. She's maintained so many lifelong friends. And I just like, I
envy that. I do envy that because like, there's something about that just feels unattainable. I haven't figured out how to do that. Like I have a lot of acquaintances. I have a very large network of people that I trust and that I consider friends. But when it comes down to like true friendship, there's literally like one or two that I carry with me because it's all I can handle.
I would love to hear like what listeners are doing too, like with their friendships, and if they've like you've cracked the code or found stuff that works for you, like wherever you listen to this podcast, comment on it, whether it's we're posting on Facebook or any of our social media.
I think it helps if you have like a weekly, like I have a group of people that I go and do trivia with like once a week. Like that is I know when it is, it's every week. Like if people come, they don't come, it's fine. But like having something regularly on the calendar actually does help. So that's just like a tip I would give if like you live near these people that you want to be friends with, like try to come up with something that you could do regularly. But that's the only advice I'm going to give here because I'm not the best.
I'm like, oh yeah, I have done that before. All the like million different strategies that I've come up with, I forget about them and then they come back.
And that's okay, right? That's all we talk about is how that's okay to like use the strategy when it's working, come back to it later. Like that applies here too. It's just a little bit harder because you're dealing with another human being that may not want to work that way. Yeah.
I'm looking at time. We're going to take one more really quick break. And when we come back, I have an idea for a tool on how we can use for maybe helping maintain some of those friendships when the conversation feels hard.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to get my notepad.
So we will be right back. All right. It's that time for your favorite ad for a product that doesn't actually exist. Introducing the Focus-O-Matic 3000. Are you tired of being distracted by every little thing? Do you find yourself starting one task and ending up doing something completely unrelated? Worry no more. The Focus-O-Matic 3000 is here to save your day and attention span. Features include hyper-targeted focus beams. Using state-of-the-art, totally not made-up technology, the Focus-O-Matic 3000 emits beams that locks your attention onto your desired task. Whether it's work, study, or even that book you've been trying to read for months, your focus will be unbreakable. Distraction Dissolver. Any potential distraction that comes within 5 feet radius of you instantly becomes less interesting. Yes, even your phone will seem just kinda meh. Task Completion Celebration. Every time you complete a task, the Focus-O-Matic 3000 celebrates you by playing your favorite victory tune. Who knew completing a to-do list can feel like winning a championship? And it includes a customizable attention timer. Set your focus duration, whether you need a solid 25 minutes or a heroic 2-hour concentration marathon. The Focus-O-Matic 3000 has got your back. Plus, eco-friendly power source runs on your choice of solar power, kinetic energy, or the sheer force of your untapped potential or list of good intentions. Disclaimer, the Focus-O-Matic 3000 is not responsible for any hyperfocus that leads to forgetting to eat, sleep, or the existence of other human beings. Use responsibly. Second disclaimer, this is not a real product. But you know what is real? The support, connections, and community you can have here at ADHD Rewired. Spread the love, knowledge, and support by sharing this or any of our episodes with your friends, family, anyone who you think would get value from tuning in to this show. And if you like what you hear so far, whether you're new to the show or a longtime listener, consider leaving us a rating and review on your favorite podcast player if your podcast app lets you leave reviews. Then, if you have any more thoughts or want to start a discussion on the topics discussed so far, why not make even more friendships and connections by checking out and applying for our free and secret Facebook community at ADHDrewired.com/community. Oh, and speaking of connections, the CHAD conference is coming up fast this week. So if you're wanting to join a bunch of us last minute in Baltimore from November 30th through December 2nd, go to CHAD, that's with 2 Ds, CHADD.org to check it all out there. Otherwise, there will also be a virtual CHAD conference from December 5th to the 6th. So that's chad.org for all the info. And if you made it this far, thanks a bunch. And now, back to the show. All right. The tool that I was going to suggest, so I don't think we've talked about this yet. So I've been really big into AI and like ChatGPT lately. And essentially it's what I'm, one of the things I'm presenting on at the CHAD conference.
Oh, cool.
So I have on my phone, and I have an iPhone. You know how you can have like different keyboards on your phone, like, you know, the emoji keyboard and different things. So I have one of the keyboards and I'm just trying to pull it up so I can actually tell you the name of it. It's an AI keyboard. And there's also an app connected to it. So you can tell, like, you give it access to basically your conversation and you say like, I'm trying to respond in this way, help me come up with a response. And
I love that.
It's been really, really helpful.
Can you get it to like text your friend once a month and just say, hi, how you doing? Is that awful? Like to automate your friendships?
No, I don't. Because I think that, and I actually think that on Android you can do that. I don't think you can on iPhone.
I feel bad even like suggesting that, but I do think it would help. Like if someone to start the conversation.
Yes. Or at the very least, like have it like generate like a thing and then it prompt you to say, do you want to send this?
Yes.
Because then you could be like, yeah, that's something I would say. Or you could tweak it.
That
like,
sounds right.
So it's called Chat on AI. And so I wish I could show this, but this is a podcast.
No, we're all going to dive in the rabbit hole. So that's fine.
So it gives you a couple options and you can write something and then highlight it. And then one of the options is to improve. Or you can have there's a reply function. Or if you open the actual app itself, it will kind of guide you on like how you want to actually use it. Like if you're using it to have a conversation with someone. I've used it to craft some hard messages.
Interesting.
And it's
just
really
like
helpful.
Business responses, but like personal conversations.
Yeah, like I have someone in my life that I needed to kind of communicate some boundaries around.
That sounds really helpful.
And I used it for that. And the whole just use ChatGPT, the whole prompt engineering of tell it how you want it to act. So act as an expert in social relationships.
In this tone.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And,
in a friendly tone.
And, and one of the use cases I'm seeing even for with ChatGPT is kind of social skill training, right? Where you can literally have real back and forth conversations. It's AI. It's with a language model, which it's I understand it.
Well, who needs friends? We got robots.
Oh my God.
We're good.
Yeah. Except with you also really I don't know. If you're a hugger, I don't think the AI bots are into hugging.
Well, and I'm sorry, this just came to mind, but somebody else, just another tip for friendships is to front load the conversation. If you know that if you feel like they might be mad at you for not calling them back, then you could say that outright first things first, get it out in the open. I'm being really vulnerable here. I feel really awful that I haven't called. You're such a great, kind, understanding friend. You're going to be really nice to me about this.
Right.
But
right. You're going to be nice.
You're going to be nice, right? But just kind of being really honest and vulnerable is, I think, a way to grow a friendship even closer.
Yeah. It's just hard. And maybe it's not hard for everyone. It's hard for me. It's hard for you. I know it's hard for a lot of our listeners.
I hear it. I mean, I'm pretty connected to the ADHD community, which I love, and it is a resounding issue.
Yeah.
Probably one of the top podcast episodes that I have is the one about friendship, because it's something that people are really struggling with. And like I said, I don't think it's just all ADHD. I think it's in general, this is a problem right now. Of course, add ADHD to that, and it's just a fun little combination.
Oh boy.
Whee!
Trina, let me give you your website again, and if there's anything else you want to share with our listeners, I'd love to have you do that. The website is MyLadyADHD.com. Do you have any retreats coming up?
So yeah, we'll be hosting a couple of retreats in 2024. I don't know if I want to share the locations yet, but I will soon. I can tell you we're going back to Jamaica. We did Jamaica last month. So we're going back to Jamaica. We're doing a women's retreat. So fun. We had 20 women on our retreat in Jamaica. It was incredible. So yeah, you can learn more about that at getlostretreats.com.
That's awesome. Well, Trina, thank you for being a good friend.
Aw, thanks, Eric. I was going to say that you actually are pretty good at checking in with me. You will send me messages and be like, hey, how are you? You've got some sort of system down where you check in with people, and you're doing good on that. So give yourself a pat on the back.
Well, thank you. It's I will acknowledge it takes effort, but it actually feels good when I'm doing it, because I'm this is the person that I want to be. Yeah,
good. You're doing a good job. So I could learn a page from your book, because I'm not great at that. So I'm really glad I just texted my niece while we were on this chat, though, and I might be inspired to text a few more people when we get off here.
Did you get a response yet?
No, but that's normal. I think it will be after work when I'll hear from her, or maybe not.
Those are the two options, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess they are.
Thank you. And we'll be in touch. And I'm going to see you in a month or so.
Just a few weeks. Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
It was fun. Bye.
And that, my dear friends, is all for this week. A huge thank you to Trina Haynes for taking the time to talk with me today. If you want to hear more from Trina on ADHD Rewired, check out episode 500, where she also joins me and the rest of the ADHD Rewired team for our August live Q&A. Otherwise, you can find show notes and links to all the resources mentioned in today's show at the website ADHDrewired.com. Need a work buddy or some ADHD-friendly faces to co-work with on your toughest tasks? If you think you would benefit from some real-time co-working to help you keep focused, whether it's laundry or dishes, studying or planning, home renovations or creative work, why not check out our virtual co-working community at adultstudyhall.com. It's free to try for the first week and only $19.99 a month after that. And if you enjoy this podcast or want to support the work that we are doing here, consider becoming a patron over at ADHDrewired.com/Patreon, where you can get full, uninterrupted episodes with bonus content and announcements at the end for just $5 a month or more. Oh, and if you want a taste of group coaching, then consider becoming a patron at the $25 a month level, where you can join me and other patrons to tackle one of your ADHD-related challenges. Otherwise, that's ADHDrewired.com/Patreon to get ad-free episodes and to find all of the tiers and our perks. By the way, as one more friendly reminder, the CHAD conference is this week. So if you're wanting to come join a bunch of us last minute in Baltimore from November 30th through December 2nd, go to chad.org to check it all out. There will also be a virtual CHAD conference December 5th and 6th. Go to chad.org for all the info. Otherwise, you can find everything ADHD Rewired related, from the show notes to upcoming events to our adult study hall, our coaching community, and more, all at the website ADHDrewired.com. Thank you once again to Trina for joining me today, and happy late Thanksgiving to all of you, my friends in the greater ADHD community, our Facebook community, our patrons, our coaching members, alumni, podcast guests, my team, and everyone in between. Stay awesome. I am thankful and grateful for all of you. And we'll be back next week, and hopefully get to see some of you in person at the CHAD conference. Stay strange, but don't be a stranger. Come say hi. We'll catch you next time.